On the market today, there are many cameras, all vying for the top spot of best bang for your buck budget YouTube camera.
But one emerged to reign supreme, the Panasonic G80, or G85 if you live on the wrong side of the pond, was designed to crush all competition. Chiseled from magnesium and coated in matte black, it was a more formidable Prince of Darkness than Darth Vader and Ozzy Osbourne rolled into one. One of the first affordable cameras to offer full 4K recording at 24 frames a second, 1080 at 60, and a fully articulating screen, it was a vlogger's dream. It's light and relatively compact, so I took it on a plane to Greece and saw some pretty walls. However, I realised I spent most of my time eating, and comatose on feta,
I brought it straight back again. However, it did give me a chance to play with the G80 and
I'll be honest and say the colours straight out of the camera do look more clinical than operating theatre and over-sharpened like the surgeon's knife. Especially in 4K, it's not a very natural looking image.
But that's not the end of the world, because the Panasonic G80 offers a cinema-like colour profile called Cine D. This gives you a much flatter image, which allows you to really play with the colour in post-production. This is something you would normally associate with a much more professional camera. But then, the G80 really does feel like a professional camera. And after all, in Panasonic's lineup, it sits directly under the professional videographer's camera of choice, the GH5.
But for around half the price. The body is angular, functional and well balanced, precisioned and honed like a fighter jet, fully customizable buttons configurable to make your shooting experience simply an extension of your own fingers. The Panasonic is a serious camera. It's dependable. A workhorse.
But on the 26th of February 2018, everything became overshadowed by this.
The Canon M50. Partly because this is the first camera to be styled on a pug, and partly because this is the first ever affordable Canon to shoot 4K.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me. That's a Canon camera that shoots 4K.
Costing less than £550 and features Canon's upgraded dual pixel autofocus. So sit back and enjoy this.
Yeah. So what they didn't tell you is this. Although this camera has all the features you've been on your knees begging for, you can't actually use them simultaneously.
That's like taking delivery of a brand new Ferrari without a steering wheel, then being told,
"I'm sorry, Mr. Smaller, we didn't think you'd be needing one."
For a brief moment it finally seemed like Canon had listened. They had, with one hand, delivered us affordable, compact 4K,
then, with the other hand, completely taking it away by removing the legendary autofocus in 4K mode and introducing an extra crop factor.
Panasonic should be, then, hands down the better camera. It has pedigree. Its father is the legendary GH5. The M50 comes from a family of failures.
The M5 and 6 were flawed, to put it lightly. The M50 is a million times better than its parents.
But then, that isn't saying much. Other things that are a million times better than the M5 or 6 include syphilis and being on fire.
The G80 supersedes the already fantastic G7 and takes inspiration from the mighty GH5 and G9.
So where does this leave us? The Lumix remaining supreme?
Well, actually, no. Because Panasonic are scared, and for good reason.
The Canon is beautiful. The colours, the size, the fact it can actually autofocus at all, unlike the Lumix, and, above all, its sense of fun. The internet seems to have exploded with people slamming the M50 for its extra sensor crop in 4K.
I've actually found the crop factor very useful because it's a way of changing focal lengths without having to change lenses. This then brings us to the issue of colour. Most of us are unanimously agreed that Canon's colour science is among the best, especially for skin tones. But the Panasonic allows for a flatter picture profile, which means you can push it further in post. So let's take a look at my big ginger beard. Firstly, Canon versus Panasonic in 4K. Now, to my eye, the Canon looks richer and more natural than the Panasonic, which seems clinical and over-sharpened. Next, let's look at the same shots but in 1080. The colours look the same as the previous tests, but the M50 does seem to have the edge in sharpness. We've established that the Canon can't focus in 4K, but dropping it down a gear into 1080 allows you to take full advantage of Canon's industry-leading dual-pixel autofocus, undeniably the most reliable on the market today. But sadly, the Panasonic can't focus in 4K or 1080 mode, which means I simply can't rely on it. We can't talk about the G80 without addressing arguably its greatest feature. The incredible 5-axis in-body stabilisation fights to keep hold of an object in the frame like a petrified accountant on the waltzers. If you're on a boat being tossed around by the ocean, this thing has your back. Because not only is it fully weather sealed, it will also make the roughest motion look like a placid lake. The problem I have, however, is this. It makes the Panasonic feel spongy. It's like bouncing round a 90-degree bend in a 1950s Cadillac. It's smooth, but you're testing the laws of physics. Swiping from left to right, and it takes the image a second to catch up. It's as if the stabilisation system is fighting my intentional movement. The M50, however, relies on stabilisation provided by your lens, which means the sensor inside is bolted down and not wobbling all over the place. This therefore makes things smooth enough, but at the same time feel more snappy, more responsive. The G80 then is the closest thing to using a gimbal for smooth sweeping motion. You could of course turn the image stabilisation off on the G80, but that essentially renders it a stills camera. And in the great game of top trumps that this is, the M50 wins there too, with an extra 8 megapixels of resolution.
So, to sum up then, the Panasonic ruled the waves for many years, going unchallenged in its class, offering semi-pro features for a great price. It was a legend. But then came along the M50, beating the G80 in almost every way, thrashing it in some cases.
By all means, buy the G80 if you want a bigger hand grip. But remember, one day someone will walk up next to you holding the M50, effortlessly filming great B-roll, and you'll just be left with a slight sense of feeling left behind. The M50 is my new camera of choice, because it's simply better in every way. That is, until the next budget banger comes along. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this film, please feel free to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Until next time, peace.